Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. My name is Abhijit Bhaduri. I work in the area of talent management. Today, I'm going to talk to you about a very interesting journey that I've observed at close quarters. Somebody who's actually moved through very, very different pieces through their life. One was to be an advertising person, then came music, then there were, cycling, traveling, football, cooking. There's like tons of things. But what was pretty interesting is now the same person has also directed a web series. So this is really what I'm going to talk to you. But just on a side note, this person also won the national award for music in a film which was not his own language. That's incredible. If you're wondering who it is, ladies and gentlemen, it's my privilege and pleasure to introduce my friend Shantanu Moitra, the person you've seen through so many of his creations. Shantanu, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Abhijit. You are in US, right, at the moment?
Yes, I'm in US. And which
So,
part of
so
the
it's
planet are
good.
you?
It's good evening for you
Good evening and good morning for you.
and good for me. Okay, I love this. I love this time
Yeah,
lapse.
traveling across time zones. Yeah, that's what. Where does this moment find you? Where are you?
I'm home in the morning. It's been crazily raining here. Last 2 3 days, Mumbai has been pretty much lashed by so much of rain. I think in the last 25 years, this kind of rain has not happened. So some of the perks of being a music composer is I don't need to go to an office. It's called work from home. So
I know you've always done work from home. This is
yeah,
unfair.
yeah.
You've done work from
L-
home before it was a thing.
Before it was a thing, absolutely. So I'm like, okay, for this is work for home. I'm used to this. But lovely, lovely. I mean, the thing here is that you've given me a beautiful introduction. But so much of this introduction is true to you, Abhijit, because you've been corporate, working in a corporate organization. You are an HR person, but yet something excites you to wake up early in the morning, take your pen, write, sketch, plan, ideate. Uh, when the world is sleeping, that's when you wake up. And for years, I've seen you doing that. And I just feel that all of us have different parts of us. We, unfortunately, our middle class upbringing always tells us to ignore all the other parts and just concentrate on one, which will give us maximum security, which will give us maximum mileage. But I think both you and me will agree that it's the sum of all those parts which defines us who we are. And a lifetime is not enough to actually discover all the parts which are there within us.
You've done a number of different things. I mean, you've been in advertising, you've been, obviously in big part of Bollywood, Bengali cinema, travel, writing, a whole lot of things. Which one do you think really worked to sort of unleash the real you, or is it a composition of all of them?
Yeah, in the sense that no, I just think that all the experiences, each time almost like an arithmetic progression, add on to the next experience. Uh, Case in point is if I had not been working in client servicing, I would never have understood that uh, there is another point of view.
Mm.
Because generally, what happens is we artists are megalomaniacs and we are extremely myopic and we think we are in the center of the world and universe and nobody else understands arts the way we do. But client servicing made me understand that there could be another point of view. There's a Ramakrishna Paramahansa famous line, which I'll say in Bengali first, is Joto Moth, Toto Poth. As many viewpoints, that many paths. So that is what client servicing taught me, which is why when I switched to the creative, I was far more tolerant than anybody else. I would not admonish another person's idea just because he was not creative. I feel everybody is creative. If I could be, then anybody can. I think that tolerance helped me be more precise in what I was creating. I was listening to everybody. I was hearing everybody, and all those hearing was helping me sharpen and honing my skills. Because ultimately, we're in the business of communication, Vijit. You choose art, you choose literature, you choose HR, you choose whatever. Ultimately, we are in a society. We communicate, and it is the ability to work together to drive home an ideology
Mm.
is what defines who we are. And if we don't know how to work with people and how to listen to other people, man, I have seen too many talented people just wash away just because they couldn't work with people. So that skill set really helped me. And then when I was doing jingles, the preciseness of a 10 seconder or the preciseness of a 20 seconder, that really helped me, you know. Uh, so later on when I was doing films, many of my tunes were like almost like it came from the world of almost like jingles. Zubi dooby pam para, zubi dooby param pam. This line could easily be a scooter ad, you know, or pal 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 pal. This could be maybe a watch ad, you know. So the training of being communicating an emotion in the shortest time period, which is hummable, was my training from advertising, which I used in films. And when I started working in films and I started working with the greats, Abhijit, that was a sheer coincidence because it's not that I had achieved anything or deserved anything to work with the greats. We're talking about Sham Benegal, we're talking about uh, Vidhu Chopra, we were talking
Sudhir
about
Mishra,
Rajkumar
Gulzar
Hirani, Sudhir
Saab.
Mishra, Guldar Saab. I saw what storytelling is, and I realized what goes behind storytelling, which is why finally, when I took that leap and the latest production that I've done with Kaushik Chakraborty called Punk, I decided to direct it. That was primarily because I think I have understood now uh, how to tell a story and present art. I mean, at least I'm beginning to understand, having worked with these maestros for last 20, 25 years. So yeah, so each experience kind of locks on to the other one and makes it better, 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 better. And the journey goes on. Adding to that, of course, is my love for adventure, my love for going beyond. So when it beat after Three Idiots, I just decided to switch my telephone off for 100 days and travel the Himalayas. The primary reason being that I was told that Bollywood is such a place that if you're not seen, then you're forgotten. And I wanted to prove this theory wrong. I had an inkling it is wrong, but the only way to find out was to do it. So at the peak, the biggest hit of the last many decades, Three Idiots. As soon as the songs were going blowing sky high, Behti Hava Thabo, All Is Well, Give Me Some Sunshine, I switched that phone off for 100 days. And the only way to do that is you can't be in a city and switch it off. It's damn difficult. So I went to those parts of the Himalayas where networking only is not there, above 14,000 feet. But Abhijit, what happened was that when I finished the journey, I came down and immediately after 100 days, I got a call from Shujit Sarkar saying, hey, there's a film called Punk, which is being looking for Pink, which is being directed by Anirudh Roy Chaudhary. We want you to do that. So, hey,
Yep.
there goes the theory, you know? And that gave me supreme confidence. The confidence saying that if you're good in what you do, they will dig you out of the grave. And if you are not good in what you do, you can be seen everywhere. And that call won't come that, hey, there's a job tomorrow come. So they are mutually exclusive. You have to do what you have to do, and they will hunt you down. And that was an amazing experience for me to understand because that's a big big monkey off your shoulder, that because,
Hmm.
it's a big pressure especially for someone like me to be seen. Um, and then, of course, the last one, which is probably the most precious in my life, was after COVID, when I had lost my father, and I wanted some kind of a closure. And either I could be sitting down home depressed or whatever. And that time it was a very awkward time. COVID, it has just taken up the whole world. I decided to cycle down Ganga, uh, 3,000 kilometers. And again, a story unfolded through it. Point here is, which is what your book and your philosophy also is about, that um, I wouldn't like to live this life subservient to one skill set. And I would like to discover many. I will not succeed in all of them. I may fail in quite a few of them, but damn it, at least I'm trying. That is what life is all about.
But you have a lot of skills, I mean, you're just such an amazing, you're very good in cycling, and you've done 3,000 kilometers. So it's not just casual. I mean, you're trekking, you're doing great distances across Himalayas. You've written, and the book is done so well. Needless to say, you've straddled all kinds of language, because as you've composed. And I was just thinking of even the stuff that we've done together, when we work together in some of the
Correct.
corporate settings in different
Correct.
companies when we were
Correct.
taking our craft together. I just see you as such a incredibly talented and adaptable. The word I use to describe, if somebody who doesn't know you, what is Shantanu Moitra like? I would say, well, Shantanu is a person who is very adaptable. That, I think, to me is you know, the real outstanding quality.
That also was Charles Darwin's theory,
Survival of
that
the fittest,
survival of the
isn't
fittest. And that's the way to do is adapt.
I know when you look at a venture like as you've directed Punk, I saw the web series, excellent web series, by the way. I really loved it, and
Thank you.
I think my worry. So I have one big worry after that. Shantanu, I must tell you this. When I saw this, I wasn't happy because I was worried that now Shantanu will take to directing films and we will lose the music part of it. Please don't do that.
You know, None of the experiences that I described you uh, became the whole and soul of my life. It all has contributed to me creating music the way I want to. So direction is also a form of storytelling, like composing music is, like cycling is, like traveling the Himalayas is, playing
How is
football is,
cycling
cooking.
storytelling? Well, how is cycling connected to storytelling?
Yeah, that's amazing, Abhijit, because I also didn't know this, but when I was doing this, cycle is a very unique object.
Hmm.
It's invisible. You enter a new village or a new mohalla, new gully in a car. People turn around to see kaun hai. But you enter that mohalla gully in a cycle, na? Nobody turns around. So you're invisible. And as soon as you're invisible, you're very closer to people. You're closer to the conversations, you're closer to the milieu, you're closer to their habitat. And one of the things that I discovered while cycling down Ganga was there are stories all around us. But we alienate ourselves from the stories by being in cocoons. You know,
Give me an example.
uh, well, if you travel by flight from here to Kolkata, how do I discover the stories of this land? I'm going to be there. And in these days, well, you have a lounge that's exclusive. You have a business class, which is exclusive. Everything is exclusive. So you reach a destination very exclusively. And in the word exclusive is a word called exclude. That's the etymology. And you excluding the world around you with the lives that we live gradually. Cycle breaks all this exclusion. and makes it inclusive. So, for example, um, in after Gangotri, there was a village called Hershil, which is in news now currently because of the landslide that that
Landslides.
village
Yeah.
was it was affected. So I was there, and as I was cycling through, I stopped at a tea shop uh, to have some tea. My cycle was parked outside, and there was another guy who was sitting in the tea shop, uh, and he and his friend were talking in rhymes. I could see that
Wow.
in their local dialect, Uttarakhandi. I did not understand the language, but I figured that their game was how to rhyme the conversation so that it becomes interesting. So I sat there for some time, heard them, and then I walked up to them and said, "Hey, uh, I heard whatever you guys are talking. It's very. Are you guys rhyming?" They said, "Yeah, actually, we are rappers.
Oh,
We rap in our local dialect." I said, "Wow."
amazing.
Yes, I said, "Yeah." And basically, and this is you have to understand this just after the COVID. He said, "So we go from village to village to rap about safety and hygiene that is required so that you can avoid COVID. In these places, many of them, because of the education level not being there, um, newspaper warning doesn't work for them. It needs to have some kind of a entertainment value through which a message is being driven home. So this is what these guys do, which is why I featured them in my first episode. They're rapping. Now go back to that situation where I'm taking a flight from Mumbai, sitting in an executive lounge, taking a business class, landing in Kolkata. A car comes and picks me up, takes me to a five-star hotel. Where will I find this guy, Abhijit?
Mm.
And that is how the cycle liberated me and made me so much closer to the stories of India.
I also think that it's sort of when you don't hang around with a lot of people in different kinds of settings, you also lose out on the stories because
True, true,
stories are rarely about yourself. How many things can you talk about yourself? You know,
true, true.
and the endless thing, and this is something. If you remember the conversation, the time when we were together with Gulzar Saab, he said that people are interested in hearing stories about themselves, which I tell. Because if you remember the conversation, I was asking him, where do you get this endless inspiration to write stories, songs, screenplays?
True.
And he was saying, it's not, none of these are my stories. These are stories I've heard somewhere. And I'm just putting it together in a format which makes it accessible to a lot of people.
Correct, correct. Absolutely.
When you have, tried to sort of get into direction now, this time when I was watching your web series, Punk, how much of your stuff about travel, music, etc., all of that, how did that come into the work that you were doing? Did it help you to do it better? How did you strategize?
Yeah,
How
yeah.
did you put this together?
E-
How long was this
I
project?
um see because this one was a lot of hats I was wearing. I was the composer,
I
I
know.
was the creator, I was the ideator, I was also directing it, and more importantly, I think the biggest thing was the artist in question, Kaushik Chakraborty. India is one of the most exciting uh, doyens, who's last of the Mohicans, uh, kind of from the Patiala Gharana. Um,
Absolutely.
it took a lot for me to give her the confidence also that this is possible. We can we can present music through telling stories. Please understand that both her and me are coming from completely different backgrounds. She goes on stage and weaves her magic through years and years and years of training that has come again from generations. And now she's taking that training and using her own intelligence and sensibilities and artistry to present it to the audience. Uh, where I am giving wings to a story which exists.
Mm.
Uh, when in Three Idiots, when two friends, the premise is already set. Two friends are out there looking for a third friend who used to be in college together but don't know where he is. Then I am putting wings to that storyline by saying बहती हवा सा था वो उड़ती पतंग सा था वो कहाँ गया उसे ढूंढो. It's remarkably a different skill set than when Koshiku Chakraborty is sitting on stage and let's say singing uh, uh, Miyaki Tori. There is no story before that.
Mm.
She's weaving her magic and emotions through singing this. So for her to present a song which is coming from a story in itself took time. Each Punk, what is special about Punk is this is what I had decided along with her, and she also, of course, was amazing because she later on she was so excited with this idea that she became the producer. That instead of us thinking of songs first, and Obijita was tired of those music videos where you know a guy is chasing a girl or a girl is chasing a guy and some great location. No, I said let's do one thing. I have innumerable stories from my travels. I told her you would have innumerable stories because from childhood you're pretty much surrounded by the greats. You don't even know they are greats because they live in your
Exactly.
house. So so many stories. From age of 6, she's on stage. Age of 6, she's on stage, traveling the world. So many stories. She may not have known their stories, but now if you think they are, let's collate the stories first and let's put them down and choose the stories that we find that I think will be something worth telling a story. And once you've chosen them, let us create music from those stories. Now, this is a remarkable experiment. This is easier for me because I come from the film background, where a story is there first. But it's a huge leap of faith for somebody like Koshiku Chakraborty, whose training is not based on a story. Which is why I think Punk is such a brave step by Koshiku Chakraborty. I don't know of any other artist,
Who has done
especially
this?
from the world of classical music, who has dared to do something like this. And hopefully, now that Punk is done, it'll open up an avenue for many, many young kids who are learning classical music or who are out there pretty much at the cutting edge of performing on stage, who struggle with the fact that how do I communicate? Because otherwise, it was blasphemous at one point of time to start a recital with a story. You're not supposed to do that. Like, what the hell? As I started this conversation by saying that our job is to communicate. Whatever it takes to communicate, we'll do that. And I somehow remember this one small incident. Pandit Ravi Shankar was in Los Angeles on a sitar, giving a recital, and he was sitting down for a primarily white skin audience. And Vijay, I must say this that however casual it may sound to you, how difficult it is for an Indian artist to have an all white skin audience. It doesn't happen even today. But Pandit Ravi Shankar was that icon where because of him and because of his associations like Beatles and all that, they were primarily white skin audience who was listening to him. And this is the smartness and intelligence of Pandit Ravi Shankar, that he realized that if I start into a raga straight away, what will they understand? And their initiation of music is not from here. It's not that they've grown up
Mm.
to that kind of a. So he said, let me tell you a story. And he told them a story about love, falling in love. And he had played Bihag, which is about separation. Before launching into the raga, and there's no words, understand, it's instrumental music. He told this audience a story about separation. I think that was pivotal. That was one of the most important Neil Armstrong moments of being landing on the moon first, when Indian classical music started with the story. And I remembered that. And that is why punk is so special to me, because each song starts with a story.
The first one, where you talk about this poet, tell us about that story. I just thought it was absolutely incredible, and that for me actually hooked me to the series, because I just thought that was very, very poignant moment, and what an amazing creative trigger that would have been. Um, Tell me about that.
It was around 10 years back. I was in Kashmir. Um, and I happened to meet a poet, mm, Kashmiri poet. Uh, Beautiful. The Kashmiri language is beautiful, Abhijit. The sound of the words are fantastic. Again, I may not understand the words completely, but it was almost like sometimes you don't have to understand, you just have to
Mm.
feel it. So I met him over a cup of kawa. Having this was February, Abhijit, so it was a very interesting setting. It was snowing outside. But this was I was meeting him in a hotel, in a lobby. Not a great setting to discuss art. So he said, why don't you do one thing? Why don't you come tomorrow to my house? I'll थोड़ा कश्मीरी पकवान से आपको मुख्तलिफ करेंगे, और थोड़ा कावा पी लेंगे, और कुछ मेरी कविताएं आपसे बात कर लेंगे. So I said, this is a great opportunity to see a Kashmiri home. I said, yeah, sure. So next day evening, I uh, went to his house. Uh, these were a little away from Srinagar. There were row houses, wooden houses. Uh, anyway, in the mountains, by 4:30, it becomes dark. This is winters. It was snowing. So I must have gone there around 5:30. It was already dark, and all the lights in front of the row houses were on. Mm. I went to the address and rang the bell. Um, and a lady opened the door. And I said, Namaskar. Said, I took his name. I said, wo hai kya? Um, she didn't reply. She just kept on looking at me. So I thought, because it was dark and it was snowing, I thought I'd come to the wrong address.
Mhm.
So I just took one more chance. I said, um, uh, Bashir Sahab hai kya? Said, just looked at me. Nothing. Silence. So now I'm convinced I'm in the wrong house. So I'm going back the steps to look left and right what the right address is. In the meanwhile, our poet friend came out from behind. And he said, Namaskar, Namaskar, Shantanu ji, Shantanu ji. Yeah, andar hai. So I went inside a typical Kashmiri home, sat on the ground. Kava was served to me, Kashmiri tea. And he started talking to me. But on the left-hand side of the room was a dining table in which this lady went and sat. And she was not looking at him. She was looking at me constantly, fixed gaze. And obviously, it's very, very awkward. I don't know whether if you have ever been stared at, it's very awkward. And you can feel the presence. He kind of heats up. So I think in a minute and a half, my poet friend understood that I'm awkward. So he comes a little close to me and in a very apologetic way. And it's ironical because it's almost as if I am not inconvenienced. He kind of tells me in a hushed tone that वो हमारी बेगम है. She's my wife. Uh, Around 10 years back, our son just vanished. Our son never returned home. What happened to him, we don't know. He was kidnapped or he died. We don't know. There's no closure. And these are turbulent times. Those were turbulent times, Abhijit. So the thing that he said कि सरहद पार चले गए कि वो भी नहीं पता हमें. We don't know.
That he's crossed the border.
Yeah, we don't know. But every time somebody comes to our home, she feels some information has come about her son. She's obviously reached a case of a mental health situation, which is why she's staring at you like this. Something about this completely shook me up. We all have children. However far away they're from us, but you know they are there. And it's so important as parents to know that they're safe. A call, a voice is good enough. 10 years, there is no call, there's nobody, nothing. You don't. He said if there was a body, we would have been at peace. That, okay, this is what has happened. We don't know. It just blew my mind. I don't know how I managed the rest of the evening. But I remember when I came out, there was a car. I just wanted to walk a bit, just to settle my thoughts. I was very disturbed. And then, the thing which struck me was, we go to Kashmir or any other place for the beauty of it, that a beautiful lake, beautiful mountains, wherever. But who knows what stories live around these beautiful spots? And that was what hit me about Kashmir. That oh my God. So then what happened was, I think, next day I woke up with a tune. It's a typical of a composer and an artist, that an incident can react. The reaction can come out like this. In terms of, you may want to write a few lines, you may want to create something, whatever. It's a reactionary process. So a tune came, and surprisingly, the tune seemed to be in the genre of a Thumri, which bothered me a lot because I was wondering, like, why the hell I've just seen this astute tragedy, and why am I thinking of
Thumri is
Thumri?
more romantic.
Romantic and love. Yes. So I remember Koshiki had called me and for something else, and this incident was so fresh that I told her this incident. And I said, but the surprising part is that I'm humming a tune which is Thumri. And then what she said was amazing, because that who told you the Thumri is about love? Thumri is about waiting,
Oh my
longing.
God.
You've
true.
just experienced a situation where a mother, a father are waiting and longing to see their son. This is right up the alley of Thumri. This is why you're thinking of this tune. And then the second magic happened was, without me telling me anything, I think this incident also kind of touched her so much as a mother also. that she decided to write, and she herself didn't know that she could write. Many of the people I meet, Abhijit, in my lifetime, many of them, they don't know many of the skill sets. Uh, and especially when somebody is very accomplished in one skill set, you almost don't look at any other skill set saying, you know what, uh, I'm sure this is what I've been destined for, or this is what I'm born for. Why am I even looking at something like this? But there was no pressure on this. Nobody, there was not a performance, nothing. It's just a story triggered an idea, and she wrote, "बैठी हूँ मैं uh,
आंख में छाया
uh, राह तके
रोहतके
बैठी हूँ
आना
मैं नैन बिछाए बैठी हूँ मैं नैन बिछाए राहत के आना शाम ढली आना." This Sham ढले आना आना was a very pivotal line, Abhijit, which I've said of the series also. That evening is such a time in our lives. You could have had a horrible day, but evening promises a time where uh, that part can be over and a new chapter of the day will start, where you sit down, have your meals together with your family, discuss what happened during the day. It gives an opportunity for me to forget. And that's a typical of a corporate person's life. You had a shit day at work, but you came back, your kids are there, your wife is there, your parents are there, you laugh, you make a meal together. Evening gives you an opportunity to make that day better. This family I had come from, they don't have an evening because the sun will not come. That is why शाम ढले आ रहा है. उसके लिए होप ये है कि शाम में सब ठीक हो जाएगा. दिन में तुम नहीं हो, ठीक है, शाम होंगे तो आ जाना ना. Even birds come back home during the evening. And that for me was the pivotal line, and I think that is why, in many ways, you are right, Obiji. The punk started with Betty Home, because I realized that this is such a powerful story, and from which, if a tune comes out, why don't we do the rest of the songs also like this? And that was the birth of punk.
it's just absolutely very unique format where it's a real story about a person. And I also felt that Kaushik has been very vulnerable in this particular series. I mean, there's so much
Yeah.
that she's talked about, which I was just thinking that she's spoken about stuff which I don't know if I would have been able to put that on film, and that takes enormous amount of courage to do that.
Yeah,
Um,
she's been amazing, absolutely.
and now that you
Also,
go
sorry,
ahead.
yeah. No, I was just saying that also, this is kind of a myth about people are uh, who spend their life in the world of Indian classical music. We have only done that. We've kind of made them like statues, like, oh my God, they're on a pedestal. And this is that classic situation when I was doing Lage Raho Munna Bhai. The key story was pivotal around Mahatma Gandhi. But the point of the story was that we have made him such a god and put him in so high in the pedestal that we've forgotten that who he was. And that is why that movie was so brilliant, that his idea of non-violence, his idea of uh, being tolerant, his idea of being ideological, those stories were told with everyday life. I just felt that generally the same thing happens with Indian classical music, which does not happen in Bollywood. That bhakti and shraddha, you're very friends with the Kishore Kumar, but you're not friends with the Bhimsen Joshi.
Mm.
Whereas I'm sure Pandit Bhimsen Joshi would have loved to be a friend. But nobody says, no, no, he's God. I think this is where I would say, for me, Zakir Hussain Saab broke that barrier where he became a friend, even though he was one of the greatest. Uh, that also, because Kaushiki was very close to Zakir Hussain, I think that also helped her doing punk, saying that, you know what, I don't want to be a statue. I want to be a friend, people's friend. And the point I was making is that this gives a big confidence to a lot of young kids, today's Gen Z, who want to be part of, who love Indian classical music, but they may not necessarily like the paraphernalia which surrounds that. Punk makes you breathe better, makes you normal, makes you
Mm.
human. I think that is why this is a very important piece of work.
Also, I think, I was, as you were talking about this, even with Kaushiki, what I think happens is when you talk to somebody who is extremely talented and of a very, very high caliber, that gap between what you can aspire to be and what this person is already doing, that gap makes you, in some sense, step away. And that's the irony. I mean, therefore, when people say that, it's lonely at the top, it's lonely at the top because your talent also isolates you, in some
Yeah.
sense.
I have seen this many times with you, Abhijit, that I think I remember when your Times of India group was publishing your blogs.
Hmm. Hmm.
They were probably one of the highest seen, visited, read blogs in India. Um, it is lovely to be appreciated. It's lovely to be celebrated. It's lovely uh, to be known that you are one of the chosen few whose whose writings are read by so many people. It's a high. It's a
Sure.
creative high. But when the next morning happens, you want to tell a new story,
Yeah.
and that is what true for all these incredibly talented people that I have been fortunate to be part of. All that is great, but as the sun rises, there's a new story to be told. And contrary to belief, people think that they are subservient to these accolades. No, they are subservient to those new stories. What will be today's stories? What will I tell today? Whatever you choose, be a chef,
Yeah.
be it a writer, be it a musician, be it an architect. Everybody wakes up in the morning thinking, what will be my story today? What has happened has happened. Uh, People who can do that, they stand the test of time. People who can't do that and they kind of get like a quicksand, get caught in the accolade part of it, they disappear. This is what I've seen.
And then you are living that one single moment all your life, and
True,
beyond a point of time it becomes stale. Even the biggest achievement becomes stale.
true.
So you like people who can reinvent themselves. Talking of which, you've now, if I remember right, you've spent almost 20 years. Parinita
Yeah,
was like 2005,
yeah,
right? It's 20
yeah, yeah,
years.
yeah.
What has been the low of this 20 years? Size many people would have asked you.
The low of this 20 years is that there's so many other things that I could have done. Uh, in economics, there's a thing called opportunity cost. I would say opportunity lost. That yes, this has given me a lot of higher love and all that. Oh my God, what if I could have could have studied and been with folk musicians in Nagaland? What if I could have traveled with these folk musicians in Nagaland and gone to Patagonia and interacted with the folk musicians in Patagonia and done something with this, documented it, made a film. So many opportunities were lost because that's how it is in life. When you have something in your hand, something must be going. With somebody like me, I'm aware of what is. If you're not aware of what is not there, then you're peaceful and happy.
Sure.
But my lowest point is that I'm aware what else about the opportunities, and that for me, Abhijit, is sometimes a low point.
Brilliantly said. I also think that, yeah, and also the collaborations with people. And you've actually worked with some incredible writers. I mean, whether it's Swanand, who's also intensely talented, or Shreya Ghoshal, who's just such an incredible singer, um, Tony, and various, people that you worked with. It always gives you a chance to reinvent yourself. What triggers your reinvention? Working with a writer, working with a singer, working with another director like Raju Hirani or Vidhu Vinod Chopra. What gives you that rein trigger? Or is it the travel?
I think primarily what gives me the travel, those definitely. I mean, there's no question about that. I keep it
Sure.
separate. That's a no-brainer for me. I think interestingly, Abhijit, my biggest trigger is hanging around with people who are smarter than me, and that has always been my growth intellectually, philosophically, and in craft has happened because I've always been in a room. I've chosen those rooms where people were smarter than me, which meant that an entire 2 hours I would be quietly sitting down and listening. There was another room available where I could have spoken for 2 hours and people would have listened. But I thought that this is not the time for me to do that. This is time to input information and knowledge. So I have always, it's almost like I'm addictive to people who are smarter, more talented, more evolved than me. My father used to say an amazing thing, Obijit, is that, this pratha that we have in our Indian culture that uh, whenever you meet an elder, you touch the feet, you know.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
he asked me that, Shantanu, do you know why we do that?
Hmm.
I said, no, I don't. He said, that's because historically it's said that person who is older than you, elder than you, has traveled more than you. Because he's traveled more than you, he has collected dust.
Dust.
You're touching that dust as a symbol of experience and knowledge. It blew my mind. It blew my mind. I try and do that. That is what excites me. That is what takes me that if I can touch the dust, metaphorically, of somebody who has experienced things more than me, if I can take a speck of that dust, which is why I keep on telling Gulzar Saab that, you know, forget the work that we have done together. And he keeps on telling me jokingly that, Shantanu, बहुत चाय हो गया कुछ कर रहे so uh, but it's that dust when I sit down with him and when I talk to him, so many stories of R.D. Varman. When I look at the man's legacy, the man who has been part of Madhumati as his third assistant of Bimal Roy, to writing dialogues of Anand. When I go to his house, I see 21, 22 Filmfare Awards. Yet, what an opportunity. It's a temple, it's a university, it's a school. That is what excites me. I go there, get a window. I love stories. I hear a story, I come back. I imagine myself that, oh my God, what would it have been like? Which is why I think something like a movie like Parinita came very easy to me because I love stories and I love life, love time capsules. It's like almost like a time machine. And I constantly keep on going back and forth on this time machine.
You know, you've had a very interesting connection. You mentioned R.D. Burman. You won the the R.D. Burman Award for New Music Talent. So, in some
There was
sense,
Filmfare, yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that was, and then you, of course, won the national award for your music and If
Nabangaru
I
Talli.
Na Bangaru Talli. Yes, yes. Is it hard to compose music in a language you don't know?
It is, but the thing is that primarily I compose the tune first. So emotions are same, whatever the language is. A separation is a separation, a jealousy is a jealousy, a love is a love, and anger is an anger. So if these are the universal emotions across any language, anywhere in the world, and as a composer, when you're pretty much composing a tune first, then you're free from the language. It's only when you're sitting down with the lyricist, writer, that interaction can be a little tough because he may not understand the language. So there are people who are mediating. Also, when I'm scoring that film, then also if the performances are good, I don't need to know what is exactly the thing. His body language, his things lets me know what's happening. So again, film is a hugely unifying place where it does not happen how you look, how you sound, everything. It's your performance and your acting can tell stories. So yeah.
We're coming towards the end of our conversation time, and I want to actually bring up one last element that we've not spoken about at all, which is your love for cooking. You are also an incredible cook. I can vouch for that. Just the love with your love for that process is just so obvious. Where did you pick up that skill? I've seen and read about a number of musicians who are very good at
RD
cooking.
Burman.
R.D.
RD Burman.
Burman, Madan
Amazing
Mohan
cook.
Saab. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
amazing cook.
And
So many,
Kaushiki
many,
also
many
said the same
examples.
thing. She said that I'm a
She's
better cook than a singer. I said, well, I
so
have to try that out. So,
yeah. I think there are a lot of similarities. The fact that a bunch of things go in together uh, to create something new, and each time it's new. Uh, uh, it's very difficult at our amateur level to uh, replicate the flavor each time the same way. Similarly, in music, with all the given constants, each time something new comes out. Um, I think also as creative people, we love a little bit of chance, you know, that let's see what happens. Uh, so, for example, I know for myself that I rarely follow a recipe. I have an idea, but at that moment, there's a death wish. Let me try and put a tomato sauce, which is not supposed to be there. Let's see what happens. This is exactly what happens when you're composing. But okay, this is what it's supposed to be. But let's try this. Bahiti Hamasa tha wo, if I'm cooking traditionally, cannot start with that folk sound. But it is that tomato sauce which you suddenly feel that let's try what happens, which creates that magic. It's that unknown that you're constantly trying to see. That let's see what is beyond that door. Let us see beyond that door, which is what makes cooking so exciting for me.
what is AI going to do to the music director?
Um, this is very interesting. Mm, the creation of art, not just music, is full of mistakes. Every artist, blue was not the way he wanted. Every artist's line that he drew of that human body could have been better. Every musician's tone of the piano was not what I had in mind. But that piece of creation is full of mistakes, which is why it's magic. AI does not know how to make mistakes. And as long as we are human beings and we'll keep on celebrating mistakes, we are secure.
Thank you. That's such a perfect thought. Brilliant. I love it. And
Thank you so much.
Santanu, thank you so much for sharing your ideas and your journey, especially your latest venture of punk is just so incredible. I am constantly amazed of how you keep adding to yourself, in terms of music,
And I'm
writing.
constantly amazed with you. You, as I said, that in spite of your various commitments, how do you keep on writing and inspiring people with how a human mind works and how to manage in chaos and with a bunch of people? That is so inspiring, and that's also praiseworthy. So thank you so much for that, Abhijit.
Thank you. And we need to again do something together soon.
Sure.
So look forward to that. Thank you so
Take care.
much.